Avarie Howard here in Lincoln following Tuesday media availability. Well, if there was one message that remained consistent from everyone we heard from today between players and coaches, it's that the focus is solely on Nebraska. And that message we've heard from Coach Rule in the first 3 weeks of this season about playing nameless and faceless opponents couldn't be more true as Nebraska kicks off their conference season with Michigan this weekend. For Coach Holgorsen, he shared with us this is the first time he's playing Michigan. However, there is a name on that sideline he's rather familiar with.
You might be more familiar with Biff Poggi than anybody here. What do you expect from him, knowing what you know about his ability to coach?
Oh yeah, I'd go way back with him. My son played for him for a while when he was at St. Francis. I mean, he brings a lot of energy now, and he's a good football coach, and his kids play hard for him. That's what I remember about it. I don't know anything about what happened at Charlotte, but just from back when he was at St. Francis, they had national teams and a lot of talent. I recruited that school for a long time and took kids out of there as much as I possibly could because their talent was so good. They got some of those kids on Michigan's team right now. So he's going to get those guys ready to play.
And on the topic of Coach Holgorsen and his offense, they rank 9th nationally right now in points per game, but it's the efficiency inside the red zone he wants to see improve.
That first drive where we didn't score, and I know that's a topic, and it's on Coach Rule's mind. We got to score when we're inside the 5. We do. I've talked about that since the day I got here. I showed him, the 4 Big Ten CFP teams last year were all 70 plus. That goal is 70. We've been 66, 66, and 64 or something like that, right? And so, which is a lot better than last year. Last year is in the 40s. Okay, and so we have took a step in that direction. We've worked it. We got to continue to work it, but we've just wasted a couple plays down there.
And on the topic of improvements, the Week 1 game against Cincinnati posed a lot of challenges for Nebraska's defense, and it came from the legs of Brennan Sorsby and a tempo offense, something that Coach Rule said we may not see a lot of this year in the Big Ten. Well, this weekend might be that opportunity to see where Coach Butler's defense has improved since that Week 1 game.
We saw that in Week 1. We made our adjustments, both schematically and just philosophically. So I think we're going to be a little bit more prepared for that element of the game in terms of, how we call the game, how we approach that player, and each player is different. The quarterback for Cincinnati had really a history of being a runner, and when you watch number 19, he is a pro-style drop-back quarterback with enough athleticism to get out of there, but he wants to be a pro quarterback that's going to sit in the pocket and throw the football and make reads. So similar players, but different in their own way.
This is a top 25 rushing offense in the country right now in Michigan. Coach Butler says the biggest thing in stopping that run game early all starts with the heart and soul of his defense.
How this defense goes is going to be dictated by how well our front plays, both in terms of how they play and the impact that they have on the game. So part of that is the effort, the physicality, the execution, but also as part of it is we've got to help them with how we're designing the movements, how we're designing the fronts, how we're attacking what we think the weaknesses of their offense are. We're not just going out there and saying, hey, this is what we do and we hope it works. We have a very pointed approach to the players we're attacking on their offense. It's not just about the secondary, the skill players. Like there's certain players on everybody's offensive line that we want to go after. So we have to go do a good job of identifying those people and executing those systems, and then getting our D-line to continue just to believe in themselves with their level of physicality and how much they can impact the game. And I think you're starting to see that.
Cam Lanhard also echoed the similar messages that John Butler did, and knowing it's going to take guys to make plays, but also proving
that, we got some guys too.
Speaking of guys making big plays, someone who hasn't been able to do that a whole lot this year on Nebraska's defense is Sierra Wright, and that's because the ball has only been thrown his way 4 times so far this season. He shares us his mindset for every play and every snap and how that'll translate more than ever this weekend.
I'm expecting the ball to come my way every play, I think. Sometimes it just doesn't. So I think that the mindset has to always be like the ball's going to come here, because if you start to get complacent or start to slack off, that's when you're going to get plays up. So I think I've been, just making sure that regardless of what's happening throughout the course of the game, that I'm focusing on the ball's coming to me. So I have that mentality.
And as one of the big leaders on this team, Sierra shares, sure, we might have a little confidence with our 3-0 start, but that doesn't change our mindset that we want to get better each week.
I'll say this, it is easy to, have some success and be like, okay, like I'm doing good. Let me start to coast. But when you have the mindset that you always have something to improve upon, then I think that's how you see constant elevation. Even in success, I think that you have to nitpick and find something that you've done wrong or find where you could have been better. Even if you made the almost perfect play, like if you were 99% perfect on the play, like you have to find the 1% that you could have done better. You know what I'm saying? And I think that our team is doing a really good job of chasing those minor details and chasing those intricacies that'll improve us on the field.
On the topic of having a mindset to get better each week, there's no better example than what Heinrich Harburg shared with us today. He had the huge block against Houston Christian that got a lot of the attention from the fans and the broadcast. He shared with us it actually wasn't as good as it sounded. He also shared with us his commitment to being the best tight end he can be for this team.
Loud hit, like when I hit him, I thought, oh, like this guy's dead. Like I thought I cleaned him out, and he ended up making the tackle. So, that's something that I'm working on is continue to run my feet through contact. It looked really cool on the replay, but at the end of the day, my guy still got in on the tackle. So that's something I have to continue to work on. Right now, my job is to be the best tight end I can be for Nebraska. Whatever that is, whether that's blocking split zone or next week if Coach Holgerson asks me to go line up in the slot and run verticals, like that's what I'm going to do, and just having the self-belief that I can do all of those things.
The challenge, like Michigan, to start conference play, it's going to take a lot of leaders on this team. Coach Rule, in fact, spoke about the leadership he sees on this team. And in fact, one of the best leaders he's ever been around is on this team currently, and that's Marquise Buford. Marquise shared with us today when that perspective changed for him to become the leader he's been for this team so far this year.
I think I just really had to realize, like, there's a standard for everything, and friendship doesn't come before the standard. And honestly, once I came with that mindset, it made it a whole lot easier, I'm not really as much worried about, obviously everybody is different. You have to approach guys differently, but for the most part, everybody's tough, thick-skinned people, and they know that I love them and I want the best for them at all times. And I just want to bring the best out of them if they're not performing at that. So I feel like just the relationship I have to have with my teammates so that I can be able to hold them accountable. And then, like, for myself, I always have to make sure that I'm practicing what I'm preaching.
Lastly, we heard from one of those young leaders and quarterback Dylan Raiola, who shares these are the kind of games you come to Nebraska for. His preparation for this Michigan game started last Saturday after the Houston Christian game. He shared with us what he's seen from the Michigan defense so far in his preparation.
Yeah, they're athletes. They know what they're doing. They play very well together. Their eyes are very good. Their linebackers, their front. I mean, it's a well put together defense that's coordinated by an NFL coordinator. So we'll have our hands full ready for that game, and we'll be ready.
Saying we hear a lot around this facility and from this team is about the standard. Well, Dylan Raiola is seeing if the fan base can raise their standard this weekend when it comes to the atmosphere inside Memorial Stadium.
I hope everyone's early and loud, and I hope that we can pack everything out as much as we can. We're always talking about raising bars and raising standards. They set a pretty high bar for the Colorado game, so I want to see if we can one up that game.
The Huskers will look to keep their undefeated streak alive this weekend when they kick off their Big Ten opener at 2:30 here in Lincoln against Michigan.